Music and Coheed are the only like constant thing in my life. Everything changes, everything goes up and down, you know, bad, good, but Coheed always just keeps it good, and it's always something I can go back to all the time. You know, Toxic Parents was around. There was another band who play shows with a bunch called Mo and the Boogie Cats. And when Toxic Parents was disbanding, so was Mo and the Boogie Cats. And Nate Kelly was the drummer of that outfit. And somehow we connected to start Shabooty. And that's when he introduced me to Mike.
I had a bass and I played a little bit. I basically tried to learn as many instruments as possible when I was younger. So bass, guitar, piano, all kinds of percussion. And so I picked up the bass then. A week later, we sat down and had one practice. I learned 5 songs. We wrote 2 that day, and we gigged the next day in Woodstock. And I was a big fan, you know, of the songwriting. It was really different, really out there stuff. And that was like my dream, was to be able to play in that project.
This is like an idea of what I was getting into, like playing with these dudes. Claude's like, the first song, we called it Sloth Machine. And he goes, all right, so I got this part, just write something to this. And he goes like, and so that was fucking, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And that began like what was to become the writing formula of like Shabooty and Coheed and Cambria, which is just like fill in impossible holes. Thanks. Thanks for that one.
There were elements of jazz, there were elements of hip-hop. It was just, you know, we just became a mishmash. The zines that would come out, they would always have, you know, horrible things to say about the band, you know, because we were very different. Vienna Choir Boy, we named this little demo, or this, you know, after a review that was in the local zine up in Woodstock, where they had called me, they had said that my voice had sounded like a Vienna Choir Boy who had gotten shot in the sack with an aluminum baseball bat. So, you know, we decided to name the album Vienna Choir Boy. It was hard, man. It was hard to get out of that rut. I mean, we were that band. I get Coheed fans that say that, you know, I was a fan ever since Shabooty. I was like, shit, I don't remember Shabooty having any fans. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. At that time in my life, my father actually purchased me a 4-track, a Fostex 4-track.
And just, you know, Claudio was just making tapes in his room all the time.
I can only imagine what my parents thought when it's not, you know, my room is right beneath the living room upstairs, and so I'm fucking screaming on the top of my lungs some of this stuff while they're trying to like relax.
Literally, like every time I saw him, he probably had about 10 or 15 songs, you know, recorded, and you know, different variations of quality. But yeah, I mean, the songs were always there.
You know, I got to a point where it was like I thought it could use another member, it could use another guitar player.
I thought it would be a lot of fun, you know, and I was itching to go out and play, and especially play with Claude.
We grew up playing together, and we had this just kind of, this natural chemistry. You know, we just knew how to play around each other.
I think the first time I saw them play together was at Joyous Lake in Woodstock, this sort of dumpy bar. But the kids who were there loved them. I mean, it was really, even then, when, you know, drawing an audience of like 20 people, there were 20 people who just loved them.
And maybe a year into that, we kind of parted ways with our drummer, Nate Kelly.
You know, when it came down to it and he wasn't going to be part of the band anymore, Josh came along.
I loved Josh's playing.
And I think we were always just kind of fans of each other. So when those guys called, I was super excited. And it happened so quick.
And as soon as we sat down the first practice, it was so exciting.
It was just, you know, a brand new thing.
And certainly in hindsight, when I look back, maybe I didn't know then like how special that was. I don't think any of us did. We were just kids. But it was awesome.
That's when like the songwriting became more like serious.
And Claude said, "This is awesome." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "We never wrote songs like this." And kind of, I think, all had the idea, like, wow, this is different and this is really working.
You know, we played some Shabooty things, but then Time Consumer, I think, was the first track off our first record. Came shortly thereafter.
Claudio had a side project called Coheed and Cambria, so we all loved the name, therefore adopted the concept, and from then on, that was the band that we were.
I don't really think that you need to know the story to be a hardcore fan. You just have to, I think you have to like music, right? So, and you have to like what they do. I don't think that you really need to know the story per se to have that active role. I mean, it makes it better, it improves upon it, but you know, I think that the story and the music can be separate.